Morning. Welcome to the March 28, 23 Attendance Zone Advisory Commission meeting. We will stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the territorial homelands of the Nuwu, the Mopa Band of the Paiutes of the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. In conformance with the open meeting law, it is hereby noted that the agenda for the meeting for the Clark County School Board of Trustees has been posted at the Clark County School District Administrative Center, Clark County School District website, and the Nevada Public Notice. We can now do attendance.
Matthew Tramp.
Here.
Dave Flatt.
Here.
Anna Binder.
Here.
Nicholas Fadane.
Here.
Diane Kinzel.
Here.
Deshante Marshall.
Here.
Lisa Patterson Gardner.
Here.
Lydia Ruiz.
Present.
John Shea.
Here.
Rudy Zamora.
Okay, so we have quorum. The Attendance Zone Advisory Commission may take items on the agenda out of order, may combine two or more agenda items for consideration, and may remove an item of the agenda or delay discussion related to items of any time. We will now go to item 1.02, the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Dave Flatt. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Diane Kinsel. All in favor? Aye. DeShante, your vote, please.
yes,
Okay, motion passes. Next, item 2.01, the approval of the minutes. We will start with the January 10th public input meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
By Dave Flatt. Do I have- Second by Anna Binder. All in favor? Aye. DeShante Mosher, your vote?
aye,
Okay. Then our next meeting was the January 11th public input meeting. I hear a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Dave Flatt, seconded by Anna Binder. All in favor? Aye. DeShante Marshall, your vote?
aye,
Okay, motion passes. And third, the January 17th Attendance Zone Advisory Commission. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, by Dave Flatt. Do I hear a second? By Anna Binder. And for a vote, all in favor? Aye. And DeShante Marshall, your vote?
aye,
Motion passes. Next item, 2.02, the reports. I will now yield to Tracy Murphy from staff.
Mr. Chair, there are no current reports for this agenda item.
So I will close this item. We will move to 2.03, the approval for the 2023-24 school year. I will now go back to staff and Ms. Murphy.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, at the joint meeting of the Board of School Trustees and AZAC, all 6 of the recommendations were approved. Of the 6, 4 were AZAC recommendations, 2 were staff recommendations. And I wanted to provide some information on staff recommendations, especially for those of you who are new to AZAC. Staff recommendations are nothing unusual. They're pretty typical. Over the last 10 years, there have been 12 staff recommendations over the last 10 years. I went back through the records and looked at how many, so they're not unique. They're typically when there needs to be a clarification on a precedent maybe that's being set to let the board know of that. If additional information came forward after the last meeting when the recommendations were made, as in this case, there was new information that came forward. And in order to clarify the recommendation, that's why the staff recommendation came forward. Sometimes it's to correct something maybe that was inadvertently recommended at a previous meeting. There's a number of different reasons that there are staff recommendations, but there seemed to be a question on how unique they are, and they're not unique. So it's something typical if you've been on AZAC for any length of time. I see a couple of you nodding your head. It's something that happens for a variety of reasons, but typically something that the district needs to be aware of or is maybe not done in the past, or to make a minor correction to a previous recommendation. So I just wanted to let you all have that information.
Anyone on staff have any questions or comments? We'll go to Anna Binder first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Murphy, for bringing that to light. I know we had off-the-record discussions with some of the community and whatnot after the joint meeting, and there was confusion, I think, amongst some of us about what happened, why it happened. And so I think my only recommendation from there was just that we get a little more assistance and understanding that ahead of a meeting instead of it transpiring in front of us in a meeting and thereby reducing our confusion. Because you guys are great leaders. You help us so much. But I know definitely I was frustrated. So I want to be proactive versus reactive in the future. Thank you.
Anyone else? DeShante Marcia, did you have wanting to speak on this item?
I have no comments or questions.
Thank you. Then I will close this item. So now we go to item 2.04, the review of the 2023-24 zoning season priorities. I will go back to staff.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, there are no priorities at this time. There are no new schools next year that will need to be rezoned. There are no magnet schools that need to be reviewed as far as their attendance boundaries. With that said, there are a couple of next steps going forward for AZAC. According to the bylaws, reappointments to AZAC the deadline is June 15th. So if you want to serve on AZAC again, which I hope you do, please reach out to your trustee because reappointments are June 15th and then new appointments are September 15th. Additionally, I wanted to also let you know that the next step to that also is that Regulation 7111 says that in the fall, AZAC, Demographics and Zoning will provide to AZAC enrollments and capacities, as well as to region leadership, so that there can be a determination of what the focus areas will be for next year. So, I mean, of course, we're going to be following the regulations, and those are the next steps. If, of course, you have any questions over the summer, is there any questions you have about any of the areas that you're thinking about, please talk to your trustee, of course, so they can share them with district leadership, with the superintendent and region leadership, so they're aware of it. But feel free to reach out if you have questions or information over the summer, and we'd be happy to help with that.
And I'm also going to remind it, under our membership list, it does have the list which one of you members' terms do expire, which I believe is April 15th. So you obviously will need to contact your trustee if you want to renew. And even the ones whose terms don't expire, I know a lot of times they will still call up and follow up if we still want to continue. So, but if you eventually won't be able to participate next session, just please contact your rep so they can get plenty of time to appoint. Okay. Does anyone have any questions with staff? Nicholas?
Just to clarify, so we do have a recommendation that we had discussed as part of our overall plan. We just bring that up to our trustee and then she'll bring it to you, or we bring it up to you directly?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Mr. Fadai, the process would be to go ahead and bring that up with your trustee.
Okay,
And have your trustee convey that to district leadership,
okay,
so that district leadership is aware of that at the same time.
Okay.
That AZAC may be looking at something also, and then we want to make sure that it goes through those channels.
okay, sounds good, will do.
I just have one quick question. What's on my, I know there's supposed to be a new CTA in I think it's actually going to be called the Northeast now. Is that opening up this fall?
Mr. Chair, yes. The Northeast CTA is opening in August of 2020. So there'll be interesting information when we get to the enrollments next fall, including the enrollments at the Northeast CTA. But of course, there's not an attendance boundary for the CTA, so that's not something that would be coming up next year.
So by the time you have enrollment, we'll also be able to know like which school areas attracted most of the students. For example, I believe Arborview, I know, is close to that. That could relieve some kids from that school. I know there's no exact school area, but I know like some closer schools are more likely it's going to attract schools that are closer to that CTA.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, yes, when the Northeast CTA opens, of course, it's closer to students in that area. So the anticipation is that there will be a number of students in the area in the proximity of the Northeast CTA who choose to go to the Northeast CTA because it's closer to where they live. And when that happens, we anticipate that there will be more seats available at some of the other CTAs because students who would have gone to other CTAs will now instead be going to the new CTA. And so that would bring some seats available at the other CTAs, which could help relieve some of the comprehensive high schools. So that's kind of the domino effect when a new CTA opens, and then students go there, and it relieves other CTA seats, and then that could relieve some of the high school seats. And so when we start getting the numbers and the reports all prepared after the beginning of the year, then that will be more evident on what some of that impact has been this first year. The CTA has students in, the new CTAs have students starting in 9th and 10th grade. So then as the years roll in, then the next year you'd have 9th, 10th, and 11th grade and that sort of thing. So we should see that impact and be able to see that in the fall after we start getting our reports together.
Anyone else have any questions regarding this item? Anna Binder?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Murphy. I know we had a previous discussion about the COSA data, since COSA was new to all of us this year. And I know I had some specific asks of future data for COSA. And so I just don't know if there's been a meeting with COSA or if you guys are going to plan one before we get like that big data unrolled. Because I know I had a lot of questions, like with Green Valley this year, and we couldn't really ascertain answers to that based on the COSA data that we had. But they're a totally different department, so.
Tracy Murphy?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Ms. Binder, would you please let us know exactly what information you are looking for from the COSA office?
Anna
I
Binder?
can do that off the record. I'll send an email.
Okay. Anyone else? Deshante Marshall, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Thank you. I will close this item then. So we will go to 3.01, public comment period. Public comment during this portion of the agenda is offered for individuals wishing to speak on matters within the jurisdiction on the board, but not listed as an action item on the agenda. Each individual wishing to speak during this period will be given 3 minutes to address the board. The public should be aware that the board is unable by law to deliberate or take any action on items not listed on the agenda. In an effort to be fair and consistent, board members will refrain from addressing individual public comments. I don't believe you had anyone sign up. Okay, then I will close this item then. So before I go to adjournment, was there anything else any of these members wanted to talk or had any questions to the board before we conclude? Okay, so I will now move a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
By David Flatt, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
By Diane Kinsel, all in favor?
Aye.
Deshante Marshall, your vote?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned.